All right, we have arrived at the old stone fort, and they have a museum here. So let's go inside and learn about the old stone fort before we walk around. Here at the Old Stone Fort Visitor Center, they have a small museum with exhibits about the history of Native Americans in the area or Indians in the area. They also have a really nice short film that they will show upon request that gives a background on the fort, that it really wasn't a fort but a ceremonial structure, and they really don't know what types of ceremonies took place here. So we're going to look around the museum a little bit and then head out to the fort. Well, I've just finished going through the visitor center, and now I'm heading down to the trail to go into the old stone fort. So let's see what we find here. All right, this is the entrance to the old stone fort, and on both sides of these paths are mounds. There's one on that side, and as I scan across, you'll see the other ones on this side. So now we'll follow the trail into the old stone fort. You can see that the mound on the right as we're going in is going to take like an L turn to bring us in to the enclosed area. And as we turn and go into the old stone fort area, which actually is not a fort but a ceremonial area, you'll see the big tree they're working on that fell down. And we find the big open field. It would be the enclosed ceremonial grounds, and they have a nice marker here to read. All right, I've entered the stone fort, and once you get inside, you'll see markers for a trail. So I'm going to start doing the trail around the outside of the stone enclosure that's here now. This is an ancient site that they know very little about. The stone wall, which actually looks like an earthen mound around the outside of this, and the trail is just on the inside of this mound of stone, which now just looks like an earthen mound. And just on the other side of this trail and mound, you can see a river over the mound. Now you can see the river down there flowing along and a natural cliff. Now this section of the trail, the stone wall isn't here. It's just the cliff side that goes down to the river I just showed you. But there are markers here that show a different history or sites that you should look at. So let's move along. All right, just a little further down the trail, they have a stop here where it appears you can go down to the river. So let's take a look at this. All right, let's go down to the waterfalls and see what we find. On this path down to the water, we get to see the other side of the stone wall. Don't really know where this path is going to lead us, but we're going down it. Well, it looks like that path did not lead down to the waterfall, but it looks like there might be a path ahead of us that will. It kind of went down below the wall, and now it's got steps going back up to the original path we were on. After coming up those stairs, there was a very short trail that leads out into the field. And here you get a great view of how big this area really is. Just looking at this open area that is enclosed by the wall and the rivers. This must have been some huge ceremonial area that they had here. And the mystery is what it was used for. All right, continuing down the trail by the mound, this section, there doesn't seem to be really any mound next to us, but it's leading us down towards the river, and there is a trail that we saw earlier that seemed to go to the waterfalls. So we're going to follow the trail. And another marker here. So now we're going to turn and go back in the direction we came from along this cliff. So I'd recommend being careful. So let's go down the trail, and you can see the cliff that is right next to the trail. And up ahead, there is the waterfalls, right there. So I'm going to turn the camera off a little while we hike. All right, this trail has led us to this point where you get a really good view of the first set of steep falls that are going down there. Now, there's not a really good way to get down there, I believe. This is our observation point. As you see, you're hiking along this trail, and you definitely have cliffs, so you have to be really careful with your footing along here as you hike along to get to the different waterfalls. And once again, we can see the waterfall next to us. Found another place along the path with some extraordinary views of this waterfall system. That is really cool and worth the hike down here. All right, at the end of the trail is the closest you can get to this waterfall. And you can see it rushing by the rock that I'm on. And then you can go look up the river as it cascades over several areas. This spot is amazing. Just the beauty of it all and the sound. This is really loud. This is truly amazing. If you come here, I would take this trail down to the river. It's not the easiest trail, and you've got to really be careful. But to get these views and to see the waterfalls, it is spectacular. All right, I've come back up the path that I went down to see the falls, and the path along the cliffs continues, and we come to a little bridge here. And as you can see, the path along the cliff has some spectacular views if you look down. Down there is where the whitewater's rushing along, and it is branched into two separate forks. This is fascinating. Well, now to continue on the trail. All right, we've been walking along the trail where there is no wall, where there are cliffs, and now we've come to the option take the above the wall trail or the below the wall trail? Well, I think let's do below the wall. So let's continue on. And up here is a reminder, do not walk on the walls. And we can see the wall just ahead of us. Once again, it just looks like a mound. The longest continuing segment of the fort is right in front of us. Right here, you can see the beginning of the wall again as it comes to literally a point in the trail. Now, if we look over the wall here, this is where people believe that they dug a canal between the two rivers. But most people now, through modern research, believe that's just a natural formation and not a canal. All right, now to continue right below the wall. This is interesting. All right, now the below the wall path is coming up to a staircase that takes us over the wall. And I'm sure this is here to preserve the wall so that people don't walk on it and erode it away. And here we go, over the wall and in to the inner part of the compound. Now we're back on the inner trail, and you can see the wall. Although the wall around this place is only about 4 feet high, you can imagine how much effort that took 2,000 years ago to build a wall this long. That is an incredible amount of work. Now I'm coming to the far side of the compound, the furthest from the entrance. And you can see the wall here has grown from about 4 foot to about 6 feet high. And it appears to be a back entrance back here to the compound that goes down. All right, now I continue to head back towards the entrance. And once again, we have alternative trails that you can take. This trail looks like it goes down to the river. And I'm just going to take a short jaunt down this thing just to see where it goes. But it looks like I'm going through another entrance in the wall here. And here we have a sign that gives us the alternative trails. And it looks like we have the Moat Trail, the Forks Trail, and the Backbone Trail. All right, I talked to some people that were coming up the trail, and they said no big waterfalls. So I'm going to continue around the old stone fort trail. All right, along the trail, we've come to another marker and another set of falls. So let's go down this path to the set of falls. After seeing the falls, now we have a choice, above the wall again or below the wall. I'm going to do below the wall. So let's continue back to where we started. All right, along the trail, We've come to the ruins of the old paper company that operated here for many years, and not much left but stone walls. There's not much left of this paper company but the stone walls. Now we've come to Blue Hole Falls. This is Blue Hole Falls. This is as close as I can get to it. And it looks like behind all these falls is the dam we saw. All right. And I'm going to see the falls here. We're back on the trail. And you can see the wall behind us again. We're almost at the end of this, so we're going to head back down this path to the visitor. Above the museum building, on its roof, is an observation platform that you can go up on. Up on the roof, you can see the dam along the river. Also from on the roof, you can see the entrance to the ceremonial field and compound, which they now call the fort. Well, I hope you enjoyed the visit to the Old Stone Fort State Park in Tennessee. So until next time, see ya.